Much of the Bible she memorized, and I think she's talking about being in the hospital at this point. Many of the Bible passages chosen by our daily bread, she would whisper as I read the Bible verses. She has shared her recollection of memorizing the 100 verses to go to CSM, or Canadian Sunday School Mission Camp, for free as a youth. And that discipline she has used her whole life. Mom truly believed idle hands are the devil's hands. And we would concur with that. And we could never say Mom wasn't guilty of not using her hands to the best of her ability. She was creative, or rather she was skilled and creative, yes, even when they were crippled by arthritis.
Here's some reflections from Bernice. And by the way, as you hear these reflections, you get a bit of a flavor for the character of what we have become as children. And here's Bernice. When I stopped seeing my mother through the eyes of a child, I saw the woman who helped me become who I am. She did not always agree with my decisions, but she never stopped expecting more from me. I remember her staying up late at night to sew a dress for me and my sisters, even though she sometimes fell asleep at the sewing machine. She taught me how to knit and crochet, and I learned from her that I could fix just about anything that I set my mind to. It took my moving away from Manitoba 11 years ago to appreciate my parents. It amazed me that every time I called, she recognized my voice, and she had a lot of children to recognize the different voices. She also had the ability to remember most times what she had already told me of the goings-on in Manitou or with the family, as opposed to what she had told my siblings. And when Christmases came and there wasn't much money, we still got something that she had made with her own hands. When Easter came, she always hid our eggs to make it more fun. When we had to weed the vegetable garden, we also always had wonderful flowers to smell and admire in her flower garden. She could make anything grow. Her Easter bread was fabulous, and her cooking was always a pleasure to come home to over the years. When I think of it, she taught me so many things that I could list a lot more, but I want to thank her for the many blessings she gave us, even if we didn't appreciate them at the time. I also appreciated her faithfulness in visiting Dad after he could no longer be in their apartment with her. She made sure she was there even though Dad wouldn't have known if she came or went. That's from Bernice.
And these words from Pat. Mom was understanding. We got the call that Mom wanted the Manitoba sisters by her bedside. She was having a restless day. She recited our phone number to make sure the sisters had it, and when I walked in the room, she said to me that she understood why I couldn't come as often. She told me that I had enough on my plate that needed my attention. And she then thanked us for coming and thanked us for helping her in her life. And when the chaplain came to visit and encourage Mom, asking her if she could pray with her, Mom appreciated and thanked her for praying with her. Mom had a hard time believing that her pointed finger caused her body to stop functioning as she had functioned for years. One of the last things she said to me was, "I have got to get up and get on with life." To which I replied, "Mom, you've worked hard all your life." And now it's your time to rest. My mom was a fighter. She fought hard to get along, or to get well again, but she was in so much pain. And we will see Mama once again walking the streets of heaven with Jesus and our sister Rizal.
Velma. Our mother was a very hard-working woman who raised 11 children on a farm. She would try to sew 2 new dresses a year for each of us girls. There were 9 of them. One for Christmas and one for Easter, often sacrificing time and material to make a new dress for herself. I'm not sure when she had the time to do that, over and above doing all the other duties. She did. I think, says Velma, Mom started to enjoy some independence when she and her dad moved from the farm to Morden in 1979. The children had all moved away, and she could start to focus a bit on herself. She then had her driver's license and was able to drive the car from Morden to Winkler on that Highway 3, able to do her own grocery shopping, run errands, and visit and help care for her mother, who at that time lived in Winkler. And I'm going to go down a little further. She kept her hands very busy knitting and crocheting various crafts. She made many mittens, toques, scarves for charity. Her fingers were gnarled and thickened from arthritis, but she would adjust the type of knitting she continued to do. Mom was a very humble person, often thinking she was not worthy to have something she hadn't worked for or contributed to. One evening in the hospital, when I was helping her with supper, she said she felt she couldn't be eating food that she had not helped to prepare. Mom suffered so much pain in the past few weeks and had to adjust to so many things due to physical limitations. It was difficult to watch her suffer so much. I am comforted knowing that she no longer has pain and that she is walking with God in heaven.
And then this from Betty. Rather than paint one picture of a story shared between my mother and I, my memories seem to lead back to one thing, the beauty of her hands and their story. As a child, I would rest my hand in her lap during a Sunday service and feel the gentleness of her hands as she tucks the hair behind my ear, soothingly stroking my face. My hand in hers, the comfort I seek seems confident as a childhood fades to adulthood. Those hands affectionately punctuate my hellos and longingly accentuate my goodbyes during my transition from family home to my home. Her grandchildren are each cradled with experience and warmth while I learn some of the nuances of motherhood from her hands. Wafting through the house and the farm, my nose is tantalized by Easter bread baking, and a fresh loaf of bread, or one of my favorites, the cinnamon buns. Kneaded and punched and rolled into mouth-watering treats, those strong hands never fail to deliver during holiday seasons when family would gather. Who will forget the aroma of strawberry jam as her hands energetically stirred the bubbling mixture, and I smile with those thoughts. Sounds created by busy hands, heightened by appreciation for the multiplicity. Perhaps it is the cleanup stage of a project as pots and tools and other utensils are put back with finality before those hands press them into service again. Perhaps it is the quiet sounds that produce calmness, the sounds of whirling sewing machines, clacking needles, clacking needles, or the rustling of turning pages. And her hands lead through the Bible and become a spiritual gateway to her heart and soul. If I empty my mind of the daily grind, I can hear the echoes of her hands. Treasured handiwork peek at me as I walk through our home. A quilted stitch with playful stencils no longer comforts her grandchildren as they drift to sleep. It lies folded and ready to soothe the cheek of a child. Dishcloths woven by hands tumble in and out of sinks and sweep across counters and tables. Toques are fondly worn by Miles and Danae, who say that none other provide the warmness during an exhilarating run down the mountain slope, a walk to the car in a Saturday snowstorm, or a friendly game of shinny on the local rink. Do I package those away in honor of her hands? I decide that their use in my hands is her desire, and I see her smile with each use. And from a distance I see her hands lovingly held in God's. Your home, Mom, peace and comfort envelop me. I examine my hands. The right pinky bears resemblance to hers. I remember her hands and only hope that mine will grow into hers.
And then I want to add, their daughter Danae is in Australia. And she sent the following, which Danae's father, Dwayne, laboriously printed out this morning for me to read. And here it is. I don't have a particular and singular memory of my grandma to share. My memories of her when I was younger are fairly fuzzy, but special to me nonetheless. As I grew older, my memories began to grow and lengthen. Together they paint a picture of a beautiful and incredibly strong woman that I'm proud to call my grandma. The greatest gift that my grandma ever gave me was not the newest trinket on the market or other material goods, but instead she gave me her time and her love.